Guys, so I had some messages which I wanted to answer all at once rather than trying to reply to people. People know I'm bad at getting back to emails anyway. So, generally speaking, if there's a few people, I try and do it on video, which is fair enough, right? So, hopefully, don't worry, I'm not going to name anybody. I know some people ask not to be named. That's cool. So, but I always said I would try and answer questions if there was kind of not a consensus, but more than one or two, you know. So, I'll try and answer, I should say. So, somebody mentioned that in a video I made the other day that I'd said that basically that Reform still had a chance of winning, and yeah, not to write Farage off, and that I could understand people's point of view when they say, well, getting Reform would be one step better than getting you know, like the Green Party or Labour. And while I believe that's true, it's by no means a measure of success. It's a measure of failure. So basically, the questions were around this idea of voting for Reform. Basically, that's what you guys are asking me, right? Would I vote for them? So to clarify, absolutely not. Under no circumstances would I vote for Reform. No. Why? Because Nigel has backed down. He's told people that he's backing down to the Muslims. He's backed down on deportations. He's backed down on everything that the British people kind of wanted. The things that have come out of his party from people, you know, why would people want to leave a party that is in a relatively strong position even now? So, and yet so many people do, and yet people like Conservatives that want to join. There's a reason for that, because he's still an establishment party, really, and he's always wanted to be. He tried to get into Conservatives so many times, and they rejected him, and he's held a grudge for that. But it's what he's always wanted. And what have the Conservatives been but something like centre, at best? At best, that's the best thing you can say in terms of political spectrum. The Conservative Party have been centre at best. He's no different. So, so yeah, I could in my little make believe world as a kind of cope, I can say, oh yeah, Reform would be better than say Starmer and Labour, which might be true to the point of view that maybe things like the Online Safety Act wouldn't have happened. But with that said, they're also going to keep allowing everything to continue that we want stopped. So, to give a very clear answer, no, there's no situation in which they get my vote. I just can understand people who think that it would be better than, as opposed to having those other parties in. But for me, I think it's time we can't afford to lose. And I think we need a victory this election. We have to. Regardless of what's possible, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what's possible, because we've got, again, it's being done right now, so which is a good thing. But people have got to do what was previously considered impossible quite a few times, and that's probably any of the outlying parties, by the way. All of them, same situation. UKIP, Advance, and Restore, all in the same position, and that is that they would be breaking in, you know, into what has been up until now a two-tier system, two-party system, which really felt like one party, right? So even when Farage set up his party, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think he'd see it through, let alone, I mean, as in, I thought he would have quit his position by now, because he's got a history of doing things like that. So I didn't think he'd stay the course as long as he has. So he proved me wrong in that way. But what I was surprised about is how many things that he's flip-flopped over, people he's thrown under the bus, and the fact that he just feels like, I don't know, and he just feels like another globalist. I don't know how else to say it, you know. So, yeah, and he's making himself into that safe centre vote, BBC vote. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. So no, I couldn't in good conscience vote for him because I don't. The things that he says I do like, I don't believe, and the things that he says that I do like, I don't believe. And there's a lot that he's flip-flopped on, and things that he's said that I couldn't put a vote in for him for. So no, as far as I'm concerned, he's gone full centre, and more importantly than your political spectrum is that he has pretty much gone back on all the things that made people want to vote reform in the first place, which was the massive changes that were required. So the way I saw it was that stripped him from the running in my own personal voting. Again, voting is personal, but for me, like, yeah, I mean, 3 years is a long time in politics, but he'd have to go as a leader for a start, and there'd have to be people pushing those kinds of policies, which I don't see that happening now. So no, no reform vote for me, and no compliments to reform from me, because I don't. Again, I can understand why people see them as being better than the alternative, which they are, but only by that much. And the way the country is, we don't have the time. We need things fixed as soon as possible. Because like I say, people go on about mass deportations being extreme. Well, it is. But it's extreme because all the times we've had when we could have done less extreme things, and we've been crying out to do those less extreme things, people have ignored it. So we've been left into this, sort of cornered into this position of talking about things like deportations for certain types of people, and it's caused these problems. But the problems are really caused by governments ignoring the problems that have been growing and growing and growing. And as a result, like I say, with so many people as well embracing the Marxism and everything else, like I said in a different video yesterday, I truly believe we need to win this election. I truly believe this one is 3 years away, but I truly believe that's the one we need. I don't think there's any room for compromise there. I just think we're already maybe past the point of fixing it. We don't truly know. But I do think that, you had 3 years plus another 5 years, I think you've really probably reached the point of no return. So, just my opinion. Tom Fury, Zero News, Dave. Oh, sorry, and I hope that answers the questions from the emails and messages I've had. Thanks very much for asking. I always appreciate you contacting. If you want to contact me on anything else, this is zeronews@gmail.com. Does take me a little while to get back to you sometimes, but this is zeronews@gmail.com. Cheers, guys.